So for this presentation, we're going to get into what an urban design overlay is and how it functions, and then get into some of the specifics with the downtown Donelson UDO, including some of the history and some of the projects that have been created through the implementation of this UDO. And then it'll be followed by a Q&A at the end. So with the opening of this new Donelson Branch Library today, we thought it would be a good idea to discuss some of the planning processes that went into the design and development of this building, as well as the site around it. So we're here in this beautiful building marked by the yellow star on the map, and as hopefully you can see, it is located within the downtown Donelson Urban Design Overlay District. And so what this means is that there are specific urban design elements that had to be considered with the design and development of this site, as well as how this site fits into and supports the overall community vision for this neighborhood. So an overlay is a zoning tool that establishes specific standards for development that either differ from or require stricter standards than the base zoning. And so it's called an overlay because it is overlaid on top of the existing zoning, and so it then supersedes the base zoning beneath it. And there are many different types of overlays that can accomplish goals like environmental conservation and historic preservation. And so an urban design overlay, which we're going to probably refer to as a UDO for most of this presentation, is generally used to preserve the character of the community or to create a character through new development that goes above and beyond what could be accomplished by the base zoning. So it's intended to shape the public realm by establishing parameters for how the built environment interacts with the human scale through the design of buildings, how buildings relate to one another and to the street, as well as public spaces, landscapes, and streetscapes in a specific area. So the function of an overlay is to translate land use policy into zoning code with regulatory power. So they're typically based on local and regional planning studies. And so in Nashville, we have Nashville Next, which was adopted in 2016 after a 3-year-long community engagement process. And so Nashville Next provides policy guidance for how Davidson County can manage growth sustainably through 2040. So then using Nashville Next as guidance, local planning studies can be created for specific areas of the cities, for smaller areas of the city. And they, each one of them is unique, and they create policy that addresses specific issues within that study area. So then an overlay translates that policy into standards for development that are specific to and located within that study area. UDOs can be requested by the City Council, the Planning Commission, and property owners. And once a UDO is in place, development applications for new development within that UDO are reviewed by planning staff for compliance with UDO as well as the base zoning. And so an advantage of an overlay is that you can accomplish a specific goal, like what I mentioned earlier, without having to rezone all the properties in the area. And so using the downtown Donelson urban design overlay, where we are right now, as an example, and we're going to get into more specifics of this UDO in a little bit, but during the writing of this UDO, the community expressed a vision for compact, transit-oriented, mixed-use development along the Lebanon Pike corridor. And so this vision is explicitly prohibited by the zoning that's in place, which has been here since the mid-90s and is some of the most auto-centric zoning that we have in this county. And so what this creates, using just the base zoning, is auto-dominated development patterns with large buildings, like really set back from the street, abutting single-family homes with big parking lots between the buildings and Lebanon Pike. And all of this really prohibits the walkability and the mixed-use, pedestrian-oriented environment that the community wanted. And so by establishing the downtown Donelson UDO, it allowed it enabled this type of development that was desired without having to rezone every property within it individually. So each overlay, each UDO is unique to the specific area where it's located, but some different development standards that could be used in a UDO include where a building is placed on a lot, how tall the buildings are, what materials are permitted to be used, the design of streetscapes, as well as the design and placement of transit facilities, and it guides where density should occur versus areas where open space or natural areas should be preserved or be created to promote sustainable development patterns, walkability, and to preserve and enhance the character of a community. And here in this map are the 29 UDOs we have in Davidson County right now. And as you might notice, a lot of them are located along the major corridors that we have in the city, which is a product of guidance from Nashville Next.